corporate crisis is defined as an event, situation, or public initiative that threatens the company's ability to effectively operate its business, says public relations and consulting firm Tucker Hall. A crisis can escalate into a disaster or a long-term effect on business growth if not handled with efficiency and sensitivity. Crises can often begin at the local level, but it can affect a company nationwide. Today, I will be talking about the corporate crises that Toyota faced with recalls in 2009. My first point will be about the corporate crises. My second point will be how the company managed the crises. And the third point is what outcomes occurred. I am credible to talk about this because I've done the research about this corporate crisis and also Ogilvy's characteristics. For my first point, I will be talking about the crisis. According to MotorTrend.com, on August 28, 2009, Mark Sadler was traveling in Santee, California with 3 family members when his 2009 Lexus ES350 he was driving suddenly accelerated out of control. He hit another car, tumbled down the embankment, and the car caught on fire. But while the car was going down the highway at speeds estimated to exceed 100 miles per hour, one of the occupants called 911 and reports that the car has no brakes. All 4 were killed in the crash. In September 14, 2009, reports had said that the Lexus he was driving was a loaner because his car was getting worked on. The wrong floor mats were installed, causing the pedal to be jammed. In September 29, 2009, Toyota announced its recall of the floor mats on 4.2 million Toyota and Lexus vehicles. The company advised owners to remove the floor mats and place them in the trunk, and directed that the dealers use zip ties to secure the floor mats to their vehicles so that they could not interfere with the gas pedals. The underlying Ogilvy's characteristics of this crisis is surprise, insufficient information, and escalating flow of events. Toyota was surprised with the media exposure about the accidents caused by the floor mats jamming the pedals. The media was all over it before Toyota was even able to get a handle on it. There was not enough sufficient information about what had caused the wrecks to control the media and prove if that was the reason or not. And the third point, escalating flow of events, because Toyota could not handle the situation and kept getting proven wrong by the Traffic Safety Administration. So they had to keep covering themselves up, and it led their loyal customers to kind of have fear in driving their products. Now that I have told you about the crisis, I will now talk about how the company managed the crisis. My second point is how Toyota managed the crisis. Business Insider says that Toyota initially couldn't figure out the exact problem, but it sent out the PR teams to try to stop the media backlash anyway. The upper management was indivisible in the early stages of the crisis, skewing the public's perception farther from the company. In October 2009, Toyota began sending letters to owners notifying them of an unexpected upcoming recall to fix the unintended acceleration issue. After the letters, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration takes the highly unusual step of publicly rebuking Toyota, calling a company press release reiterating the statements made by Toyota in the October letters to owners that inaccurate and misleading, noting that the floor mats recall was just an interim measure and that it does not correct the underlying defect. Toyota publicly apologized. The first thing they did say was that the problem was operator error, which is the most frequent cause of self-acceleration problems in automobiles. Then a suggestion that a faulty electronics caused the unintended acceleration. And then finally, they suggested that the cause was the floor mats that get trapped under the gas pedals. Some engineers blamed sticky gas pedals. Instead of reassuring the marketplace, Toyota acted in a way that caused owners to fear for their safety. Prospective buyers looked for other makes and models. For example, CEO Jim Lentz, president and chief executive officer of Toyota Motors USA, went to the Today Show and looked like a deer in headlights in response to Matt Bauer's cross-examination. In a poll directed before Lentz spoke, 37% said they were less likely to buy Toyota cars. The negative numbers jumped to 56 after Jim Lentz spoke on the Today Show. The uncertainty created by Toyota representatives triggered a series of costly recalls, lawsuits, and loss of business. MyCustomer.com said that in February 2010, the company finally began to publicly address the issues, crafting a letter to customers that ran in major daily newspapers and on Toyota's website, followed by a second letter days later, and then the U.S. television commercial. Now that I have told you about how they managed the problem, I will now tell you the outcomes that occurred. My third point is the outcomes that occurred. Toyota's response was slow, with devastating results, but it served as a wake-up call for the company. Despite its monumental mistakes early on, Toyota still bounced back. It didn't take long for the public to remember Toyota's previously stellar reputation. The company offered extended warranties, pumped-up marketing that reassuring customers about safety, and its ads in the following months were more thoughtful and sincere, showing the company's dedication to fixing the problem. Toyota's executives, especially in the US, became more visible, speaking to the media and becoming active in investigations. Forbes' article said that since these painful recalls, Toyota's motto is moving forward, an attempt to communicate with consumers and the company's desire to start fresh and look for the better future. According to mycustomer.com, it is estimated that the losses will be upwards of $1 billion in cost and lost sales due to the recall, though the reported braking issue with the Prius and Lexus models could push this figure even higher. In January 2010, they saw a report of 16% drop in sales, with a monthly sale dropping below $100,000 for the first time in over a decade. But there will also be damage that has been inflicted to the reputation and the consumer trust. MotorTrend.com said that Toyota's recalled cars will have their gas pedals replaced with a new redesigned unit. Until their car is serviced, the owners are advised to remove floor mats and to report any problems with the local Toyota dealer. Toyota advises any driver who finds their vehicle accelerating unintentionally to place their vehicle in neutral, apply the brakes, and steer off the road and shut the engine off. Owners of the vehicle equipped with a push-button starter rather than a traditional key should be aware of the button must be depressed for 3 seconds to shut the engine off if the car is not in park. In conclusion, the company failed miserably in its initial crisis management, but that's what makes the Toyota case so intriguing. Today, you have heard me talk about the corporate crisis that Toyota faced in 2009 to 2010. My first point was about the corporate crises. My second point was about how the company managed the crises. And my third point was the outcomes that occurred. I will end with a quote from Andy Gilman. The secret of crisis management is not good versus bad, it's preventing the bad from getting worse.